Hello, in this video I'm going to demonstrate to you how to create a pencil drawing of a still life, including measurements and use of shading with your pencils. First, start by measuring your still life. I'm working from first-hand observation and that's how I'm measuring it. I'm also using HB pencil here, and I use the end of it to get my proportions right before I put them on my page. It's very important that you get your proportions right on the beginning and spend some time on it, as that will help you create a good and well-developed drawing. If you are using a photograph that you've taken for your still life drawing, also measure those proportions on the photograph. That will make it easier for you later on when you start adding details. You can see I'm taking my time dropping those proportions down on my page and putting all of the guidance and symmetry lines, and I'm doing it very lightly with my pencil to make sure that I can correct them as I go. Spend some time on it, make sure that you've got the right proportions, that you've positioned your object in the proper place that they should be. It's much easier to change the positions of your objects on that stage of your drawing and put all of the changes necessary. You can imagine a face of the clock when trying to establish where diagonal lines go. So you can find out the angle and imagine what direction that line is going to be. Continue developing the outlines of your objects till you're happy with the positions and all of the angles and all of the shapes on the page. If you need, you can correct them as you go with your eraser. Don't start shading until you've got all of the objects exactly where you want them to go. It will stop you from erasing a lot later on in the drawing. With the general shapes, you can start working up more details. For example, here I'm working up on the top of my bottles and I'm dropping where the labels are going to be. And I go across all of the image, adding more and more details. When you're happy with your drawing, switch to a softer pencil. I'm going to use 2B, and that's when I'm going to start shading. I like building up my shading, and I constantly look either on the still life that I've got in front of me or the picture that I've taken of the still life before. So building up of the shade, it's actually the easy way to make sure that you can compare the dark and light values in between different areas. Go back to areas, make them darker, and always look on what you're drawing. So don't concentrate only on your page, look on the image or look on the thing in front of you. If you're dealing with the darker areas, you might want to switch to something like 5 or 6B. It's much easier to create a darker and stronger tones with that pencil. When you're developing your drawing, switch between different types of the pencils. So the higher B number, it's going to be for really dark areas. The lower B numbers, it's going to be good for shading lighter areas. Don't be afraid of going over the areas to make them darker and add more details. It might be more comfortable for you to work on the angle if that's the area that you are developing. Move across the image, don't concentrate only on one part. Build it up as you go. You want to assess how different areas of the image compare to others with your values. Observe, move around, change the values, make sure that you're working across the image and you're not concentrating just on one piece. You can use your eraser to create more highlights in the dark areas. And you're trying to go across and develop different areas and then come back to the areas you've already worked on and assess if there is enough difference between different tones. You can use a gray value finder to help yourself with assessing how dark or light areas should be. That's very helpful, especially if your object got strong colors, it will help you to assess the darkness of the object. You can see I'm moving around my page to build up the shading. I don't concentrate on one area of the drawing. I try to build up the tones and make them progressively darker. Remember to draw shadows, use horizontal lines for shadows dropped on the surface so your objects look three-dimensional. When drawing something that is a very light value, use a H pencil. It will allow you to create much lighter tones. You can use a tissue or a piece of paper to cover the part of the drawing if you don't want to risk it being smudged. Go around and develop more details in different parts of your drawings and always look on what you are drawing. Move around, add details, use different types of the pencils. You can work from different angles on your page if you want to build up your shades and tonal values quickly. Remember the grayscale and value finder. It's very helpful if you're not 100% sure how dark or light you should do certain parts of your drawing. Don't forget about the background. Fill it in with a value. I'm using my fingers to block myself from drawing in the wrong places, and I'm dropping a very light tone here to create a feeling of space. If you're working from first-hand observation, take an image from exactly the same position that you've drawn your drawing. Also, remember on the end to take a good quality image and edit it so it shows what you've done in the best way possible. Thank you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this demonstration.